Hey everybody, how's it going? Hope that things are going well for you on this wonderful A day. As you probably now realized, I am not going to be there today. I have a little bit of training that we talked about last week. So I thought I would make this little video to help you guys get started today and get you guys all set to go for your lab. So just like we talked about last week, the topic of this lab is length. So you guys are going to be doing a little investigation on your own about length and kind of do a little bit of question answering where you guys get a chance to explore with length. So our essential question has been, what is length? And this lab is basically designed for you guys to answer a couple of questions about some kind of wives' tales or kind of just things that you may have heard about how the body is proportionate. All right, so Miss Johnson has this on her PowerPoint as well, so you guys can take a look at it. Here are your groups. I hope that you guys are being awesome and respectful to your classmates and we're not hearing any grumbling or anything going on out there. Because if there is grumbling, keep in mind that grumbling, when you guys find out what group you're in, think about how that feels to the person that you're grumbling about. That's not really a great way to start the day, and it's not respectful. So please keep in mind that you guys need to be nice and welcoming to the people in your group. Most of the groups are going to be groups of 4. Some will have groups of 5. But what you guys are doing once you get in your group is we're going to be doing this length lab. So each of you is going to get one of these sheets, and they're on the front table. So they're in little pocket protectors, so they're ready for you guys to take with you to do this lab. But basically what you guys are going to be doing is you're going to be answering these 2 questions. So the first one is your height equal to the length of your arm span from fingertip to fingertip? Some of you might have heard that before, that if you just kind of spread your arms out wide, that's about the same as your height. Another thing you guys might have heard before is that the size of your foot is equal to your forearm. So when we talk forearm, we're actually talking about this distance from the base of your wrist to your elbow on the top of your arm, not on the bottom. So what I want you guys to do is you can go ahead and write those questions, and hopefully you guys, if you guys notice, I've got my little handy dandy note sheet that we did on Friday. It's glued in. I've got my Cornell questions off to the side, and then I've gone ahead and I've put these 2 questions at the top. You guys can also go ahead and on the back put the questions there. So those are both options for you guys. So you're gonna write these 2 questions down, and then the next thing that you're gonna do is you're going to, when you're with your group, you guys are gonna come up with a hypothesis for each of these questions. So the first one being the height and then the arm span. And basically I'm looking for something more than just like, I think this is true or I think it's not true. We're going to start working on writing a little more complete lab report. So make sure that you write out your whole hypothesis. So a good one to answer this question would be, I believe that my height is equal to my arm span. Or maybe I believe that my height is not equal to my arm span. Both would be good options. You don't have to change them if you're wrong. If you end up being wrong or right, it really doesn't matter. Both are good information. So if you're right, awesome. That's something that we thought might be true and it matched up. If you get it wrong, that's okay too, because then we know that these 2 things aren't proportionate. So both are good, but I shouldn't see things for the hypothesis like yes, I think so, not sure. The answer to your question 1 is yes. For each one, write me a sentence like, I believe height is equal to arm span, or I believe my height is not equal to arm span, or foot length is equal to forearm, whatever. So you should definitely write out a good hypothesis for each. Then you're going to write down your procedure. So for the procedure, I'm looking for like a cookbook, step-by-step instructions on how you planned on doing this. So if you're going to measure arm span or you're going to measure height, are you going to have somebody lay down and you're going to measure their height on the ground? Are you going to just grab a meter stick and like stick one and then stick another, see how tall they are? Are you going to be specific on if they're standing up, if they're not? You guys got to kind of tell me what you're doing, because I'm not there today. So pretend that you're writing instructions for me to do this again, so I can see your methods. And the reason that we're so specific on this is if you aren't clear, it's really, really hard for us to figure out if the data, the differences you're getting. So maybe you say, yeah, arm length and arm span and height are not the same. it's really hard to tell if it's actually not the same, or maybe it was the way that you measured. Maybe you weren't consistent, maybe it wasn't really a good way to measure. So be very specific so that we can kind of look at everything. It helps you defend your point. So like I said, you're going to give a whole explanation of how you conducted your experiment. And someone else like me should be able to do exactly what you did. I should be able to look at it and go, okay, so this makes sense. I can follow these steps and do this exact same thing. Make sure that you guys number them out. So number everything, step 1, step 2, step 3. A little example of what I'm looking for a procedure would be something like this. So this group, using a meter stick to measure the height. So this would be just for the height instructions. You'd have to do one for each thing that you're measuring. You'd have each member stand against a wall, put a piece of tape on the wall at the highest point of their head, have them step away from the wall, and then measure from the bottom end of the tape all the way to the floor to get their height, just like you might do in a doctor's office. I'm seeing some things in here. Maybe I would be a little more clear on something like, well, did they take their shoes off? Did they measure with their shoes on? It says from the bottom end of the tape, but was that consistent for everybody? So make sure that you guys are nice and clear. When you guys collect your data is gonna be coming from at least 4 people. So if somebody's gone in your group today, that's totally fine. Go ahead and grab data from somebody else in a different group. That doesn't mean you're working in a different group. It just means that you're grabbing their data. So what I want you to do is record your data in a nice, neat, and organized table with labels and units and everything. I want to see what you guys can do. This is kind of to see where you guys are at with your ability to write up a lab report. So just do your best. Give me some good organized data, and then do some conversions. So if you measured in centimeters, tell me that data in meters. We just went over how to convert. You guys should have it on your Cornell notes. So tell me what it is in meters. Give me another table with meters, or vice versa. If you did meters, tell me what it is in centimeters. Once you guys have organized all that data, like I said, make sure everything is there. You've got all that data for 4 people, and you do your conversions. And then here's a good image of kind of how to do your data plot. So your data table, if you wanted, so let's say you got one person, Nicole, you're going to record all these different pieces of data for each person, and you'd have your 4+ people there. Then finally, you're going to create a graph. My big thing is graph should be on graph paper. There should be a stack over on that table, the main table, of some graph paper cut in half, or the big pieces. You're going to glue this into your notebook. So make sure that you guys have space in the notebook for it, and that you're not putting graphs on both sides of the graph paper, because you're going to glue one side down. So you guys can do one of 2 things. You can either do one piece of graph paper here. Let's see if I got a pen. So I'm going to highlight here. So it says category 1. These could be your different people. So it could be like Joe, Bob, Jenny, and whoever. Those could be your 4 different people, and you could do all 4 pieces of data. So you could do like height, and then you could do arm length or arm span, you could do foot, and then you could do forearm. Or you guys can do 2 graphs, one where you compare foot and forearm, and one where you compare height and arm span. So it's up to you guys how you want to organize it, but you should have a nice graph on graph paper. If you would like to, if you're somebody who does Excel pretty often and you'd like to do printed out graphs out of Excel, go for it. You guys should be able to. If there's a couple that want to, you guys could go over and ask Miss Kleckersub for a computer to use, or Miss Halverson for a computer that you could borrow for the hour if you want to do an Excel one. But if you feel more comfortable just drawing them, there's graph paper and there's colored pencils to do your coloring. Make sure you have a title, make sure you have labels, make sure you have units. So like it says here, it says length in centimeters. Tell me what units you're using, because if you don't give me units and you say the height of this person was 185, if that's 185 meters, we better get Guinness Book of World Records out here, because that's a pretty tall person. Lastly, make sure it's neat and organized, and then you'll write a conclusion at the end. There's questions on there for you guys to follow. This is a little example. That PowerPoint that Ms. Johnson has is there for you guys to check out. It's just basically, what did you find out? Were your predictions correct? All that stuff. So take some time, really think about it, really write a good conclusion. And then there's a few questions about further investigation, things that you guys might want to do moving forward. Basically, the way I'm looking at it today, if you guys do a great job and you spend good time on your lab, and Miss Johnson tells me that you worked really, really hard and you're not totally done, then maybe we'll have a little more time next time that we meet. If people are goofing around today, causing problems, not getting stuff done, then I might have to make this homework for those that aren't done. So I know you guys will be rock stars. If you get all the way done, I have some length practice for you guys to do. It's just practicing doing centimeters, measuring some different things, using a ruler, things like that, just to kind of get you guys in the habit of measuring. And then those answers are on the PowerPoint that Ms. Johnson has for you guys if you guys get done. So kind of a loaded day, but it's really not going to be, I don't think you guys are going to have too much trouble with it. I think you guys are going to have fun. Make sure you guys are working well together, working good in groups, being respectful, not using the meter sticks like lightsabers, all that type of stuff. And I'm looking forward to a great report from the sub when I get back. So have some fun and have a good day.